Hi, Reggie Mara here, speaking about healing America's narratives. These past few episodes, we've been taking a deeper dive into each of the 9 traits of our collective national shadow. Briefly, those 9 traits are ignorance, arrogance, fear, bigotry, violence, greed, excess, bullying, and untrustworthiness. And today we're speaking about greed, which is an excess desire to have things, to have more of something. It could be money. Typically, it's money. It doesn't have to be money. It could be almost anything. And as a component of the collective shadow of the United States, historically, it's been around since the nation was founded. And currently, it's even more prominent. It's more obvious. And it's the idea again that I, or in the case of someone with an us-centric viewpoint, we, our group, or in group could be a religion, it could be a political party, it could be almost anything. We need more and more of this. So we're not speaking about having a problem with anything, having enough of something and then some, in a healthy, have some money savings in the bank or investments or whatever. But we're speaking about excessiveness. And honestly, it's a very, very subjective perspective. I mean, some people think it's not excessive for one individual to have tens or even hundreds of billions of dollars. All right. Others think it's fine to have hundreds of millions of dollars, millions versus billions. Others are happy with, not hitting a million, having hundreds of thousands of dollars, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't believe there's a magic number, and I would never propose that there's a point at which people should say, well, after this point, I'm going to give it all away. I'm going to share it. All right. That's not what we're talking about here. But what we are talking about on a planet with limited resources, okay, that a very small group of people have the ability to, and sometimes actually practice, hoarding more than what they need, way more than what they need, wherein other people are literally starving for actual food, for real bread. That's the problem with greed. And if we step back and look at it more globally, but for things that the United States is deeply involved in as well, our greed for certain kinds of furniture and certain types of products, what forces us, or it forces us, it doesn't force us, all right? It incites us to dig into the earth for minerals, to chop down huge swaths of forests, which impact the very oxygen that we breathe. And we see it played over time and time again, whether it's in a for-profit healthcare system, a for-profit war system. Again, most of the politicians and generals who send us and respectively go to war don't make profits. Many of the politicians do through lobbying, but the defense contractors who make hundreds of millions and billions of dollars on the instruments of war. And I could go on. And there is not an industry in which greed hasn't shown up. And what we point to is the underlying flaw in capitalism as it's practiced in the United States and many other places. But specifically, we're speaking about the US, where the primary goal, the metaphoric bottom line, is to provide increasing dividends to shareholders. And we saw what that kind of drive did in the big tobacco industry. We saw what it did in the oil industry, what it does in the oil industry, what it does in many of the tech companies. And in other areas, we saw what it did with opioids and pharmaceutical companies. So this drive for profit, even when it's hurting individual human beings and the planet itself, is an example of how greed has really impacted and does still impact us, if not directly, indirectly on a regular basis. To tie in our earlier conversations about development, if I'm me-centric, I only care about myself, greed is really easy to live into. if I'm us-centric, if I have a group or some groups I care about, it's possible for the group to be greedy, for keep this for our group, but not share it with them. It's only at the all of us centric, you might call that a human centric perspective, that we begin to say, oh, there are 8 billion of us on the planet, there are 300 million of us in this country. I don't need that much, even if I'm making hundreds of $millions in a year. So I can share it and I can give some back and help other people because I have enough and then some, and I can share. So there's a developmental component to this conversation about greed. Easy to be greedy when it's just about me. The greed shifts slightly when it's about us. It's not greedy to take care of my family, your family. But then the greed really dissipates if we begin holding, and it's all about all of us, or even better, about all that is. So we take care of the planet itself, and we don't hoard resources, not only, but including money. So thank you again for tuning in. I look forward to speaking with you the next time, where we'll speak about one of greed's close cousins, excess. All right, take good care.